Hello and welcome to another engaging edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Theodore Henry, your host for this enlightening journey. Stay with us for an enriching experience.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Thanks for staying with us. Nuclear science is a field full of possibilities, and the government is on a mission to inspire young minds to explore it. Let's dive into the career paths this fascinating field offers and see why it's worth considering for a future in science.
Science is an essential cornerstone in the creation of a modern society.
As the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology pursues its mission to increase the popularization of science in schools, we're highlighting one of the many careers that one can undertake in this field. Nuclear science involves applying nuclear techniques to investigate and study different fields. Here in Jamaica, nuclear techniques have been applied to conduct studies in areas such as agriculture, health, and climate change. Unfortunately, the field of nuclear science is largely male-dominated, but there are females out there who have been doing great work and have solidified their space.
I work in the nuclear analytical lab. I started out in engineering and transitioned into this field, so it wasn't exactly on my radar. I wasn't told about it in high school, and it wasn't something I knew really existed per se, which is what we're trying to change here, to get people aware that there is this field that exists and is actually here. So I had the privilege of seeing an opening and I applied. I love projects. I love investigating. For me specifically, I love marine and atmospheric studies, which is how I use nuclear science to investigate the marine environment and urban air quality. It's been fun. No 2 days are the same, which works for me. And it definitely requires passion and interest because the field is constantly changing. There's always something new to learn, while there are things that are established. Like in science in general, science also continues to present new information, and that new information can change how you do certain things or maybe how you look at future projects. So it requires that you constantly read. It requires that you're constantly open to really, understanding why is it that you're doing what you're doing and how it actually can help solve the bigger picture, not just doing it for the sake of doing it. Science in general is a male-dominated field. It's for sure, that is exactly how it is. It's why the UN has the International Day for Women and Girls in Science, to encourage the changing of that situation. Personally, I've never really been daunted by the fact that it's male-dominated because it's something that I am interested in, so I pursued it irrespective of that position. And so I'd encourage girls not to look at the fact that it's mostly men. Look at it as, okay, since it's mostly men, I will find my place. You can find, for everybody in this field, you can find your place and to learn from them. The men that I work with here are incredible. They teach you, they are open to, helping you to learn and to understand. And for me, who was transitioning from another career into nuclear science, something that I didn't study in my undergrad, they were pivotal in helping me to understand how to do things. I didn't have a female in this lab to work with. So males can be allies as well. So it doesn't have to be a male versus female thing. I think it's just to stay open. Don't get discouraged. I wasn't a huge fan of chemistry in high school, and yet a lot of my job has to do with chemistry. But I think things change, Sometimes it's the teacher that you're exposed to. Sometimes it's just a stage in your life. You might prefer a particular subject, but don't feel daunted by the task at all. Just still pursue what you are interested in.
first step of wanting to get empowerment and be empowered is you must never be satisfied with the way you are. You must always be seeking to improve. So you must always be seeking more, seeking better, because you can always do better. You can always improve. And I believe that sometimes in our society, we don't always encourage people to improve. Even in our household, we tend to say, well, you're just like your daddy, meaning to say you're not going to be better than what your father or parent has achieved. You go on like you're better than people, meaning to say that we must all stay at the lower stage and not seek to improve ourselves. In fact, there is this thing in our culture that makes it appear as if someone is trying to improve themselves, they're doing something bad. That is true, right? When what we should be doing is to applaud people who work hard and achieve. Right? Yes, that's what we should do. But somehow in our culture, we have turned it upside down. And it is very pervasive in the classroom because you see what happens is it provides cover for people who are lazy and people who don't want to change and people who are set on a pathway to failure. So they don't want anyone doing better than the average because then they will have to put out a little bit more effort. Now, if that is allowed to be the common standard in the society, then our society will never improve. So, one of the things I want to give you today is that you must never be ashamed of success. And you must always seek to be the best at what you do, to be excellent.
Securing a bright future for our youth starts with intentional, well-prepared parenting. For parents to give their best, certain key aspects like planning for education expenses must be outlined and thoughtfully organized. So grab a pen and paper and get ready to take notes on building a solid foundation for your child's academic journey.
Hello everyone, I'm Xavier Campbell, an educator, financier and entrepreneur. Education is very important to our development and can take years to achieve the highest level. It is also very costly and some persons will have a difficult time finding the money up front, especially in the absence of careful financial planning. So, within the next few minutes, I want to share a few steps that will guide your approach to financing your child or children's education. Let's start with, when should we begin that financial planning? According to the Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Although there is no perfect time to begin planning for your child's tertiary education, starting as early as possible is the best way to ensure you are prepared financially and avoid the common pitfalls. Having a step-by-step plan is the best way to ensure that you are able to finance your child's education without sacrificing your personal financial plan. There are several things to consider when planning for your child or children's education. However, most notable among them are parents must identify the future costs of tertiary education and have a clear sum in mind of what their target will be. Then work their way backwards to present and see how best they can earn to realize the future goal. A clear financial plan should be put in place either by the parents themselves or with the help of a professional financial planner. The discipline is what follows the plan to ensure that all financial objectives are being taken care of in terms of allocations and meeting the various timelines set out by the plan. Once all incomes and expenditures remain in accordance to the plan, by the time your child reaches maturity, their tertiary education funding would have been readily available to offset the costs associated. Now your options could be savings or investments. Both are good, but let's look at them closely. There are basically two ways to make money. One, you work for money. Two, your money works for you. So savings is the process of putting aside a portion of your income for future use. In this case, we're talking about education. So if you're going to save, you need to put aside some of your income to ensure that you're able to offset the cost of your education in the future. While investment is you putting money aside that will generally earn interest over the period of time that you put it aside for. Therefore, having a plan inclusive of savings and investments can put parents in a better position to offset the future expenses of education. Firstly, if you're not financially literate, I would advise you to seek assistance from a professional financial advisor to ensure you are getting qualified advice that will help you achieve your goal. Here are the 5 steps of planning your child's education. Step 1, set target date. Step 2, find current cost of the education. Step 3, find target amount. Step 4, estimate the returns you can generate. And step 5, calculate the monthly contribution. Here are some additional things to consider. A partner plan is a very good thing. Creating a savings account and/or fixed deposit. Invest in one of the various educational products available from a preferred financial institution. And maintain your discipline while ensuring that the projected amounts are allocated at the appropriate time to achieve your financial goal effectively and efficiently. One of the most common mistakes that parents make is that they think that they need this large lump sum. But as the Jamaican proverbs go, every mickle make a muckle, so therefore they can start small and then build onwards. Now, another mistake that they normally would make is the fact that they think that savings alone would help in terms of offsetting the costs in the future. What I would recommend is for them to use a culmination of both savings and investments in order to achieve their financial goal. So the first disadvantage I want to speak about is the inability to set financial goals. So you not being able to set goals will also lead to you being demotivated and lack the knowledge that is required to achieve that goal. And as a result of that demotivation and that lack of knowledge that is required, then there is no direction. So we consider it to be a lack of direction, right? And if there's a lack of direction, then what will happen is that poor financial outcomes will be the result of that. In concluding, planning for your child or children's education is not just dependent on the numbers. Rather, it's a combination of several factors, namely social, personal beliefs, religious, your way of approaching, and general outlook at life. However, the cost of education on a rise. Parents are looking at various investment vehicles to secure their child or children's future. Judicious planning for your children's future is essential, and empowering them with an education plan is a wise thing to do. Start to reap maximum benefits very early. Create a sustainable future for them to bloom in.
Up next, we explore how parents can transform math into an enjoyable and interactive experience for their children, right at home.
What is it, my daughter?
I can't do that maths here.
All right. Let me take a look at it now.
Math can seem daunting, but there are a few things you can do to support your child at home. One area to look at is games. We all play games on a regular basis, especially children. And how much fun would it be to tie mathematics into the games they play?
There's a very interesting notion that is put forward. And that notion is the fact that the things that we are interested in are the same things that we seem to do well in. Now, if it is that around our interest, there's also a heightened level of performance, or we seem to learn things much faster when we are in tune, it therefore becomes important for us to actually put emphasis on making mathematics an interest. Because once we begin to allow our students or our children to see the fun in math and begin to develop a level of interest, it is at that point in time you will find that they may learn the concepts much faster.
Arithmetic helps us in keeping track of time, conducting business, and making plans.
In reinforcing the math from home, we have to do a few things. One, you could, while cooking or baking, allow your child to come forward and to share the math concepts that they were exposed to in school. I'm sure while you're cooking something, your child can apply some measurement skills, some conversions, some looking at the beakers and so on. Additionally, we know that at times we do some amount of sorting and organizing. There's always a shelf somewhere to be packed, a cabinet to be reorganized, some things to be moved around. This is an opportunity to allow your child to use their spatial awareness, to be able to look at shapes.
Do you want to know what I do?
I find creative ways to incorporate the knowledge to them, because maths is not an easy subject, and most children will tell you maths hard, but it's something that they need in their everyday life. So I find creative ways to put it to them in fun ways that we both can enjoy doing it together.
Some of the concepts that I believe that parents could pay a keen attention to is the number concept, like the simple addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division.
You have to know at least the basics. I mean, we're not going to tell them about the algebras and the other areas which is a little bit challenging to them, right. But at least know to make change, know how to know the difference between distance and time and things like those. I'll try to encourage all fathers at least to know the basic about the concept of maths. For the primary student, you use whatever they like. Okay. If they like food, they use food. Divide up the pizza, show them how to divide it. If they like money, they're the children who love playing with money and love counting money, use the money.
Look at your child textbook. You'd see the topics based on the child age group, all the topics that they'll go through throughout the entire year. And you can also consult with the teacher and find out what topic am I looking at now, so that you can use all the online resources.
We have to find out what is the root of the problem first. Is it that you're not understanding, or you're not grasping as much as you're being taught? Then that much we need to identify what are the weak areas, what are the problems. Once we can identify what is the problem, then we can actually try and fix it from there.
So we're not supposed to be thinking with our fixed mindset that there's only one way, so the teacher is doing it wrong. We could be doing it wrong, we might never know. So we'll have to be open to the fact that we're not the only person with an opinion, or this is not the only way of solving that one problem.
Parents, I want to encourage you today. When it is that your child comes home with the math book and you realize that the approach that is being taken to deliver the content is not the same way you are used to it, don't throw it aside and say, no, that's wrong, or that is harder, that's different. You need to embrace the approach.
There is many ways to help. You don't have to help physically, but being there to sit down and to encourage the child, talk with them, or even while they're doing it, you look over and say, yes man, okay, try it this way. I mean, that is support.
Support your child and give them the push they need. In math, practice makes perfect.
As we remain in the heart of the hurricane season, it's crucial to stay prepared, not just for strong winds and heavy rains, but also for the risks posed by lightning. While lightning may be dazzling to watch, it's essential to know how to stay safe during thunderstorms and how to respond medically if a lightning strike occurs.
It is a very impressive geophysical phenomenon that produces the loudest light and the loudest sound. As we know, it's very prevalent in the summer months, and for Jamaica, that actually means that it's also prevalent in our hurricane season. It may cause direct effects or indirect effects, and the direct effects are usually due to the effects of the current. The indirect effects are the associated injuries that are involved. These may include multi-system injuries, neurological injuries, both immediate or delayed, burns, and depending on where you are and what happened in the middle of when you were struck by lightning. If you had trauma, you may have blunt trauma. And the blunt trauma may, as you can imagine, affect any system. When we are responding, we need to ensure that we have the chain of survival involved. You need to get early response. You need to call for help. If it is that the person has had a cardiac or a respiratory arrest, we need to manage that early because you can resuscitate the patient. And typically, the individuals who are affected are young and those who do not have any cardiac problems. So with early resuscitation, you can get a positive outcome, and this means the person does not have to die, right? In terms of the resuscitation, we're going to use this typical airway and cervical spine control. And I'm going to stress on this. Sometimes you have persons who have been struck by lightning and they have fallen. If they have fallen, they potentially have, and depending on how they fall, of course, you may have injury to your cervical spine. So we need to take care in terms of when we're resuscitating them and when we're moving them to ensure that the appropriate spinal immobilization techniques are borne in mind. If they're not breathing, we have to breathe for them. If it is that we need to restart the heart because the heart has stopped, we can do this by external chest compressions or by the use of a defibrillator and defibrillating the patient. You may realize that there are quite a few automatic external defibrillators placed in strategic areas across the country. They're relatively simple to operate, and usually when you have an AED present, whoever has it, if you're trained to use it, I'm going to ask that if the situation requires, right, go ahead and do so as per instruction. you need to pay attention to the weather forecast. We all know that the Meteorological Office of Jamaica issue weather forecasts. We really, really, really need to pay attention to them. If you hear thunder, you are in striking distance of lightning. If there's a thunderstorm, the safest place to be is within a well-constructed building, right? Away from water. So this is not the time that you really should be running pipes, washing, having a bath. You need to be out of water. Water is a good conductor of electricity, and if you're indoors and touching water, you may have a problem. You need to stay away from electrical wires. You need to stay away from all electrical devices. If you're outdoor, the most dangerous place that you can find yourself in is at the highest point, or at something, beneath something or an object that will translate to be at the highest point. In other words, standing under a tree or a very tall tree is not the place for you to be in the middle of a lightning storm, right? If you can move indoors, please do. If you are in a body of water, remember, water is a very good conductor of electricity. You need to come out of the water, be it pool, river, stream, any body of water. Stay away from water. If you happen to notice that your hair stands on ends, for a matter of speaking, the advice is to actually crouch down low as you can, go on your tippy toes, cover your eyes and cover your earlobes, basically curl up into a ball and on your tippy toes, right? So you're as low to the ground as possible with as little contact with the actual ground as possible. If you're in a vehicle, you need to roll the windows up. Do not touch the outer frame of the vehicle, and the vehicle should be grounded. The exception is a convertible. If you happen to be in a convertible, whether it's flat top, soft top, hard top, please come out of the convertible and find an appropriate area. It's not a good place to be. If you are a victim of lightning, please seek medical attention, or if you observe somebody who is a victim of lightning, get medical attention to them, right? It is actually very safe to touch the victim. Call for help. The lightning victims can be revived using cardiopulmonary resuscitation. If you are trained in CPR, and that's cardiopulmonary resuscitation, and the situation is such where this is what is needed, go ahead, right? But it's for the trained person. And with that, stay out of water, away from electrical wires, seek appropriate shelter, and listen to the Met Office. When the Met Office has issued a bulletin, take heed. Thunderstorms may have lightning with it. Severe weather in terms of that may come with the risk of lightning. If you hear thunder, lightning can strike you and you are within striking distance.
As we conclude today's edition of Jamaica Magazine, we hope you found these features informative and engaging. Stay connected with JIS through our website at jis.gov.jm and on social media. On behalf of the production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Have a great weekend.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.